These carrots are frozen, again, just from the store. Crinkle cut, 100% carrots.
Yes.
Microwave them according to the instructions. That'll soften them up and make them easier to work with. And I'm gonna pulse these.
Okay, so I'm just cutting a angled corner at the bottom of the bag to make it like a pipette, piping bag.
One here for Jen. You take a cup and press it down.
Or 3 cups.
Ooh, I'm digging these cups. We've got honey thick and we've got nectar thick packets, so you can pick whichever you would like to do. We're gonna start with some orange juice and some pink lemonade. So on each of your cups, you've got it labeled 4 ounces and 8 ounces. I would go up to the 4 ounce line. Put your beverage in, or you could put the second generation SimplyThick, the Easy Mix in first, your 4 ounces of beverage, and mix. And Jennifer has some spoons for you at the end. We do have some more spoons in here. Do you want to try the Diet Coke? Okay. You can go 8 ounces, Cindy.
Okay.
I
There's also some carbonated cider, if somebody wants to try the cider. What do you think, Erin?
I like it.
Oh, cool.
Try it. I always do the eye test. I
That's
can't
what
help
we've
it.
done forever.
Can't help it.
While you guys are,
What is
I'm
that?
an eyeballer. This
Oh, okay.
this test.
Yeah, I see Leslie do
That's my
that.
evidence-based.
while everyone real quickly is stirring their beverage, so these are the frozen carrots, heated in the microwave per the instructions, put it in the food processor, thicken with, and then I added honey thick water, one of our demo cups, all right? I've taken a Ziploc bag. If I was doing this every day at lunch, I'd get a piping bag in the proper tip. Then if you wanted to do, green beans, you could use a fluted tip, and carrots in a round tip. You could do a lot of different things. But the idea here is,
Good.
Yeah,
so
it really is. This tastes like.
now
A
basically
smoothie?
I've got carrots pureed.
Could you make another one?
Yeah.
I can do.
Just that simple.
Very
I was
nice.
forgetting to take pictures earlier.
How'd you make the little
Can
green
you show that to
tips?
the camera?
Do it for the camera. Do it for the camera.
Nancy, will you explain the artistic component to the green?
I just took my leftover peas and just took a tiny bit and put it at the ends. It just adds, a
does.
little bit of
I
flair.
was thinking that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're at home and you're taking care of your mom or dad, or
You want to make it as
or your
nice as
aunts, or
possible.
no.
So this tastes like orange juice that has the pulp in it, but it didn't have the pulp. That's what it reminds me of.
That's what we should sell it as.
I mean, I'm not kidding, because the thick, it's thicker. when it has
Hydrated,
the pulp in
Right,
it,
but
yes.
no
But there's
pulp.
no pulp.
Right.
But it's as thick as.
But you're not getting the consistency of pulp. You're not
No.
getting any, okay,
Some
just
people
so
don't like,
everybody knows.
some people don't like the pulp, but
Yeah.
it's as thick as
There's
pulp.
pulp.
Pulp orange juice.
They make,
Which
what
I
do they
like
make?
thicker
Nectar,
Yeah.
honey.
I do like the pulp.
Well, Jen made honey thick cider, and Erin made, I believe, nectar thick orange.
Orange juice.
Okay.
And Cindy, yours is nectar thick Diet Coke, right?
Oh, yeah.
I'm never going to sleep tonight.
Honey thick orange juice?
You
But you did
okay?
honey.
Sharon, is that the pink lemonade?
Yes, it's pink lemonade.
See all my carbonation still there?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Look at that. I think it's
Is it
adds
good?
a little. I mean, it's kind of a little party in the cup. I mean, you make it really cold. It's like a little
There you go.
smoothie or something.
Yeah.
All right?
Now it's a party.
Cheers. All right.
To everyone.
Cheers is probably where we should stop. Not kidding. I don't need the sorority toast you were telling us in the car or anything. It rhymes though, it's very good.
Is that nectar or is it?
Honey.
Mine's nectar.
Let me see yours.
It's probably smoothie.
Lots and lots of
They're
smoothies.
wonderful.
You dump it in together with the thickener, or would you thicken a liquid and freeze it and this?
You can basically go any direction. And what I will tell you is we've got recipes on at simplythick.com because so we'll go back to that chef
You know,
who kind of stumbled in and then figured out and getting the starch out of the puree and putting the Simply Thick in, that solves his problem. Well, the next thing you know, you guys, we could do a whole segment on personality types regarding registered dietitians,
Easy.
speech paths,
Easy. Watch it.
physical therapists. Oh, yeah. Yeah, OTs. Okay, we can all pick on OTs. Okay, so
Susie's speech.
But what I'll tell you about chefs is, they're in it for the publicity plenty of times. That's part of the personality that goes with being a chef, is not to sit back and be quiet. And they do something special, they'll tell you about it over and over again. So the chef he told the SimplyThick rep in Michigan, and he started spreading the word. The chef spreads the word inside the company. The next thing you know, well, look at my recipe for chicken cordon bleu. It's like, well, that must have taken 3 hours. Well, it did. But now we've got chicken cordon bleu in our places. Like, for purees? Yes. And you're like, oh, okay, not everybody does that. So we get them to start sending us the recipes. We put them through a little bit of the RD meat grinder to make sure they got steps in the right order. You know, sometimes chefs will send it to you on the back of a cocktail napkin. Can't do it twice in a row, but it really worked the first time. So on our website, we've got an RD that goes through and makes them look right. And so there's lots of those smoothie recipes, Eugenia, on our website, and it will give you. But essentially, you can add most of those ingredients in almost any format.
Okay.
The beauty of it now, because especially in long-term care, a lot of buildings will do their own nutritional shake. All right, so they'll make it sometimes feel like a chocolate shake, but they're adding protein powder and some other stuff, and or dry milk powder. Lots of different shortcuts, especially in long-term care. And so now with the field test, with the flow test on the syringe, we can really bear down on what's exact. And you know what? If we've got 8 people in the building on that homemade protein drink, and 2 of them are on nectar, you know what? A lot of them just make it nectar for everybody instead of having 2 separate recipes. Because that's something like a protein shake, and it's cold, and you don't notice it. You really don't. We can take chocolate milk with SimplyThick and almost get it to the point where you'll think it's a Frosty. If I can get it cold enough, the consistency, I can get that exact same.
That's kind of like an Orange Julius.
That's exactly, we get that comment almost every time.
Yeah,
Yep.
showing her age.
Any questions on the puree and how we're just kind of futzing around with that? Does that make sense? Okay.
You know, I was even sitting here thinking, you know, as a chronic pain patient and chronic illness patient, and I'm supposed to be doing smoothies with adding this and that and the other and all these powders from the
The health food store
health
and
food
the,
stores and
absolutely.
stuff like that that are just disgusting.
But they're good for you.
Yeah, well, that's what they say. But one of the hardest things is having them be thick enough to be like a shake. You know, I want to add the ice cream, and you know, apparently
Oh, 'cause
you're not
they're
supposed to.
Very vegetable based.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, you could actually use
And I'm
that
thinking
to
about
thicken it
using-
up.
yeah,
There's
you
no
could
doubt.
use that.
Because if they are strictly like spinach and juicing kind of things, and you want to make it
Yeah.
more texture
I was just
modified, you could easily thicken that.
Yeah.
Or thicken a juice that goes in it.
Yes. Baby food that they say is stage 2, it depends on what it
Yes.
is.
Yes.
It's a different consistency.
So
every
that's a
time.
good way to test that
Yes.
syringe test for your stage 1
Right.
and your stage 2s, because depending on what company it is.
It's different.
Company and even whatever it is. I mean, they can have green beans and then,
Carrots.
you know, applesauce in there.
They might have
Totally
a filler
different.
of some sort, or pectin, or, you know, something that's
Good
gonna,
point.
And you're right, Cindy, and now the benchmark is in your hands instead of having to go outside to
Love
try to
that.
figure out.
I
Yeah, it
really
puts you
love
guys
that
back in
information.
control
Absolutely.
at the patient's bedside.
That was a wonderful thing to tell us about tonight. That was terrific. Thank you for bringing us that.
Just a little footnote, you were talking about the flow test with some of the baby foods, spoon tilt test. We don't have time to go into that tonight. It is on the IDDSI.org website. It's another way to test extremely thick or pudding thick liquids because they're not going to have the movement or the flow through the syringe. So that's what you would use for the baby foods as well.